Yo, dog, Kenny Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days, coming to you from the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California. We're doing it again with Titan Forge, Razoth, the Fury Demon. I'm going to show you how to do this skin workup with an airbrush. It's actually really easy. One might even say it's secretly easy. Look, I'm not an airbrush scientist, but I'm going to show you what I know. So first, we primed them black. We did a little sub-assembly on the axe. I wanted to gain access to all them muscles, and we're going to use some secret weapon colors. We're going to use actually blue-black wash mixed in with this mecha purple, and we're going to get some flow improver in the pot, thin it down, make a nice base coat. Now this is sort of a, kind of a demonic flesh workup, but you can notice that it does have notes of reality in it, and the purple black blue base is a big part of that. I'm gonna show you guys some creative ways to get your skin looking their best. Now obviously I'm using that Krios Mr. Hobby airbrush. It's got an inline PSI control valve. That's gonna come in handy when you're doing projects like this. Step one, let's get this nice dark black blue purple base on the black primer. Let's do several thin coats here. Now one of my favorite things to do is once I get a good base coat locked in is I like to thin it down a little further. There's a reason for this. Now I want to get into some of the recesses, some of the nooks and crannies, and I don't want to keep building paint up on those fat muscle bellies. So now I'm just kind of aiming at some of the areas that I can still see the black poking through for a final pass to really lock this color in as our shadows. Now I'm going to grab this burnt orange from Secret Weapon Miniatures, or burnt red. I don't know. I haven't memorized all the names. I just know I use them a lot. And we're going to mix it into what we've got here and kind of create a nice mid-tone fleshy color. It's got kind of a terracotta feeling to it. It's got some of the notes of the purple, some of the dirty paint water in it. We're going to thin it down, a little water, a little flow improver using the Gangsta Gumbo technique. I'm going to lower the PSI just a little bit on the valve. We're going to flip this dude upside down. We're going to aim from the top down. We're going to try to use our best airbrushing techniques to allow the airbrush to skitter down beyond the muscle bellies and leave some of the shadowy purple blue intact. That's going to give us a nice fuzzy shadow that's a little bit more interesting than black. It's going to have some common links to the new mix because we always like to use a little of the dirty paint water from the previous step as we move up in our highlight game. It really does link the colors together, especially if you thin them down. You really can get a nice true blend, really solid transitions. So we've got this kind of terracotta mix. We're going to thin it down even further with a little bit more flow improver. We're going to manipulate the PSI, and we're going to do it all again. This is a glaze. It's super thin, so it lets some of the previous colors show through, and each pass that you do is going to achieve a little bit more opacity, therefore more vibrancy. Now you could leave it a little bit thinner. It'd be a little bit more realistic, a little bit more muted, but we're going to try to go up a notch in the vibrancy, and we're going to be a little bit more dramatic by leaving more of the shadow intact, and it's going to give them a lot of free contrast, even though we're going to do it all with the airbrush, not even going to touch it with a paintbrush. You're going to see these are some of the tricks I use to create more contrast. So he looks pretty good. He's got some of that kind of terracotta flesh tone we made. We're going to mix some of the neo burnt orange in the pot. Going to orangify it. But here's the thing, is that orange looks like it's a brighter color, but it's not. It's just more vibrant. It's basically the same value. So it's really not going to give us the highlight that we crave unless we add a little bit more of a value shift to it. But it will give you a hue shift, which is also desirable in these situations. So here we go. Thinning it down. Wow. Now we're going to get some of that nice oranginess that a lot of skin has in it. Kind of the undertones built in. It's just a slight hue shift, like I said. We're going to be aiming at the muscle bellies, just kind of reinforcing them, giving them a little bit more vibrancy, a little bit more color. I like that. I don't necessarily want them to be totally desaturated, so cheating a little bit of orange into the mix is going to kind of solve that problem for us. I don't know much about colors. I'm not a color scientist. I just figured all this out through trial and error over the years. So we're going to pay special attention to some of the torn skin where there's kind of like underskin exposed. We're going to make sure those get their due diligence, because you will have to use the paintbrush to cut in some of those channels. But this is the base airbrushing of the skin, and we're going to show you how to cheat with the airbrush today. Bow! Looking beautiful. It's time to up the ante. We're going to grab a little of this kind of ochre brown color from Secret Weapon Miniatures right here, and then we're going to throw a little weathered wood in the pot, and a little bit more orange, and a little bit more red. We're going to throw everything back in the pot. All the colors are going to be married together. We're essentially making flesh tone right now. This weathered wood is one of my favorite colors from the Secret Weapon Miniature lineup, and we're just going to make the magic. We're going to swirl it all together with our paintbrush. Wow, see, we're getting a nice kind of tan flesh color now from mixing all those colors together. I want to link it to that orange though, so we got to put a drop of orange back in the old pizzat, swirl it together, make the magic happen. And water always goes far too, guys. You don't only have to use exclusively flow improver. We're going to raise the PSI, get some backflow gangster gumbo technique, and we're going to deploy some fancy highlights on these muscles. Now, shout out to Titan Forge for sending me this model. I love demons, and they know I love demons, so they sent me this model to work on. I love it. The details are flawless. The muscle bellies are smooth. It's a solid piece. I used a little bit of putty to fix a couple seams, but nothing that I didn't expect, nothing crazy. So we're going to now progressively point our airbrush into smaller areas, making more and more like kind of tighter, smaller highlights. You don't want to just keep painting the model over and over again. You want those base colors, you want those shadows and those midtones to show through, and the crevices and the creases of his flesh. So we're aiming at like the deltoids, the tops of the pecs, the skitter off of the old abs, you know, get some on his elbows, his triceps. We're really just trying to create the dimensions and leave some of those shadows behind, so that really dark purple blue is still playing off of all those colors. He's looking beautiful. And we're going to spend some time playing around with these skin patches, like I said, because we are going to cut in the underskin later. So you want to make sure you don't have to paint anything with a paintbrush that you could have easily done in the airbrush phase. Too easy. Get those ass muscles, get those calves, those heels, everything. We're taking a look, doing some inspections, making sure he's looking his best. We want to pump it up a notch. We want to go further, a little bit more weathered wood in the old pot. We're going to dump the pot, use some of the dirty paint water, swirl the weathered wood into the pot with our brush. We're going to thin it down again, of course, like we've been doing, a little flow improver, maybe a little water, a little backflow gangster gumbo technique. I always like to swirl it first. I feel like it's faster, gets a good consistent mix. And now, time to do some ancient Chinese techniques right. Meow, first and foremost, always keep the tip clean, boys. You know what I'm saying? All right, more water, thin it down, tip clean. That really helps when you go this bright, so that paint doesn't stick to the needle and distort it and get grainy. You want it to be perfectly smooth. So we turn the PSI down on our valve, and we're just going to deploy some final popping ass highlights to make him look super dramatic. And the reason he looks dramatic is we left a lot of the dark shadows intact, and we didn't just keep repainting them and validating them, and we're not leaning on a wash to capture these shadows. Love this dude. We're going to just reinforce some of those skin tears like we said. You'll see how we address those here in the next steps. I will pull the paintbrush out, but I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to snap my fingers, and magically all the base colors are going to be locked in using some movie magic here on the stream. But you can see that's a beautiful skin color, and it's pretty natural. It's definitely in the human world. It's not just straight demonic. We definitely borrowed from reality, and there it is, guys. We based in some of the colors, cut some red in, some metals in, some browns in, some like black jade. And now we're going to just take the airbrush, whatever color you chose to paint that underskin with. We used a jade. I mixed some blue into the jade, like some sky blue. It doesn't matter. Same exact steps we did on the skin, just reverse engineer it for any other color. We're going to use blue. So now we're doing the mid-tone off of our base work that we did with a brush. And we're going to add a little bit more sky blue in the mix. Do it again, getting a little bit more dramatic, getting a little bit more selective, and maybe even add a couple drops of white. Always thin it like you saw in the first part of this video. Keep getting it thinner. Always keep the tip clean. Take your time, be deliberate, aim that brush where you want. There it is. Beautiful. Now, one kind of fast couple passes here, you know what I'm saying? Like, always do like an investigation, you know, like get your forensics hat on, make sure you didn't miss any areas, you know. If you got a little blue on the skin, that's fine. It'll glaze itself out, or sometimes it'll just give you a desirable OSL effect. It's not a big deal. I'm liking where our head's at. We're using kind of a nice cool blue color to go with some of the warm tones of his skin, giving us another layer of contrast. We're going to add a little bit more white to the pot. We're going to go a little bit more dramatic. It's very thin. I'm working with very little PSI, so I can really aim at those muscle bellies, kind of ripping through his back to give him a truly demonic feeling now, to really go with his skin that is a little bit more natural. There he is, the Fury Demon, looking beautiful. That's how you airbrush skin. It's secretly easy, guys. Thanks for checking out this video. We'll be taking this guy to the next level soon on Twitch. In the meantime, play on, players.
If you like these tutorials, check out Next Level Painting on Patreon. Become a patron of the arts today. We offer early and exclusive access to our videos and a rewards program for different pledge levels. Patreon is PayPal and credit card secure, so you don't have to worry about that. We use 100% of the money to improve our process.